The trucks come in from either end. They enter from Blacks Road. They also enter from Furnival Road. They return the same direction they came from. This, we know this is causing the washboarding, the potholes to occur, and grading is necessary to keep that road viable. But it is adding extra dust to our situation. So we're hoping that in the best case scenario, our road would be next up to have a chip surface applied. And I guess secondarily, if that's not happening immediately, we would very much like to see a counter placed at either end of our road, at Blacks Road and at Furnival Road. And during the time of year that we are experiencing the worst dust, which is usually about June through September, and to get a clear sense of the amount of traffic that is causing our problem. So we're leaving this with you. We're hoping that the solution would be the best case, and that's our road would be next up for chip surfacing. And if not, then that study be done and supplied to us to let us know exactly what volume of traffic we are looking at. So if anybody else in my fund would like to speak.
I thank you very much.
I guess we've had our time.
Council certainly has been listening to you. I will say that.
Okay.
Does any comments from council right now? Or we'll bring a report back. I'd like to bring a report back from staff, and because we can't say anything right now this minute. So I think if we leave it to get a report back from staff, and we'll go from there.
I very much appreciate that. And thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll move on to adoption of the minutes.
That West Elgin Council hereby adopt the minutes of January 23rd, 2025 as presented.
Mover, please. Councillor Denning. Seconded. Councillor Doherty. All in favour? It's carried. Thank you. We go to committee and board minutes.
The motion is that West Elgin Council hereby acknowledge receipt of the minutes of Four Counties Transit Committee, October 30th, 2024, and the Tri-County Water Board, December 17th, 2024, as presented.
Okay, can I have a mover for that, please? Deputy Mayor Tully, seconded. Councillor Doherty, all in favour? It's carried, thank you. Business arising from the minutes. Seeing none. We move on to staff reports. 8.1, planning. Evening, Robert.
Evening, Mr. Mayor.
Could you, the severance application for E9-25 and the comment to Elgin County. Could you lead us through this, please?
Certainly. Good evening to everyone. The purpose of the application that's before you this evening is a lot addition. The municipality was approached by the landowner who owns a farm parcel around 25130 Argyle line.
Excuse me, Robert.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, I was just checking. You're not coming through very, very loud. I was just wondering if there's any way you could put your volume up just a little bit.
Is that any better?
No, we'll have to manage it there. Thank you.
Okay. I will get a little closer to the computer. Maybe the microphone not working 100% this evening. As I mentioned, the application that is before you this evening is a lot addition. The farm parcel from which the land is being severed um, had a severance back in 2018 and removed a lot off of the farm and is located at 25-130 Argyle Line. That property owner is interested in acquiring lands on the vacant farm parcel to enlarge their lot, and the landowner is willing to sell them those lands. The existing farm parcel right now is 49 acres, has frontage along Argyle Line. The lands that are being requested to be severed and conveyed are approximately 3 acres in size. There's an existing outbuilding and a pond, and this area has not been actively farmed for quite some time. It was originally part of the lots, I guess, support area. There was another building on it, and it was also used for the storage of equipment that was originally used on the farm. The parcel's L-shaped, and it would enlarge 25-130 Argyle to approximately 2 hectares, or just slightly shy of 5 acres. As part of it, a zoning amendment would be necessary as a condition of the rezoning, because the receiving lot is zoned A3 and the farmlands are zoned A2. That, of course, resulting from the severance of the original dwelling. Lot additions are something that are fairly uncommon. They do happen now and again, and the provincial policy does anticipate these. It wants to make sure that obviously any active farmland is minimized from being taken out of production, and also that we're not creating any new lots. In this case, the original severance at 25-130 will require a new process now. It's called a cancellation certificate that the county will issue. That will undo the original severance, and it'll allow the lands that are being severed from the farm to then be consolidated with the new lot. Both the county official plan and the new West Elgin official plan have been reviewed. Both, again, support lot additions as long as no new lots are being created and that active farmland loss is being minimized. And then lastly, as I mentioned, there will be a zoning amendment that will be required in order to match the lot addition lands with the receiving lot. Circulation was made to internal departments. The property does not require any drainage apportionment. There is an entrance to the farm parcel. However, it's not really a formal entrance. This property has the ability to essentially drive off the road into the farm parcel, but as severances come forward, we're trying to make sure that access points are formalized. And also the farm parcel at the time when the lot was originally severed off did not receive a civic address, and that will be included as a condition of the lot addition to provide a new address. There was no concerns from utilities and no concerns from the building department. As such, the lot addition does comply with all applicable policies, subject to, of course, the condition of rezoning. And unless there's questions from council, that is all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions from council? Any from the public? Seeing none.
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Robert Brown, planner, regarding consent application file E9-25, comments to the County of Elgin Planning Report 2025-04, and that West Elgin Council hereby recommends approval to the Land Division Committee of the County of Elgin for severance application E9-25, subject to the lower tier municipal conditions in Appendix 1 of this report, and further that West Elgin Council direct administration to provide this report as municipal comments to the County of Elgin.
Move it, please. Councillor Statham, seconded. Councillor Doherty, all in favour? Carried, thank you. 8.2.1, monthly building report and comparison for January 2025. Everyone's had a chance to have a look at that report? Please.
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Corey Pemberton, CBO, regarding Building Department Summary Report for the month of January 2025.
Move it, please. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Denning, all in favour? It's carried, thank you. 8.3, operations. Monthly operations report, January 2025. Again, everybody had a good chance to inwardly digest it. Could I have the recommendation then, please?
That West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Lee Gosnell, Manager of Operations and Community Services, for information purposes.
Okay, move it, please. Councillor Doherty, seconded. Deputy Mayor Tellier, all in favour? It's carried, thank you. 8.3.2, West Elgin landfill capacity. Lee, can I please pass it over to you?
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and members of council. So the report that you have in front of you with regards to West Elgin landfill capacity, staff are wanting just to provide an update where we are with the landfill. There are a couple of things that I'd like to point out in the report. We tried to give some background as to how we got to this point, and also we started doing aerial surveys of the landfill back in 2016 when the Public Works Department took over the operations. One was done in 2016, one was done in 2022. And then based on the figures that we were seeing actually in the field here in the last year and a bit, we weren't comfortable with the life expectancy, what they were showing for the landfill. So we asked them to do another aerial survey in the fall of 2024 just to confirm those numbers. And a couple things. One is the 2016 and 2022 survey, when they put that information into their GIS system and they do that survey, we have to place clay fill on top of the landfill when we cap that for our closure. So their numbers were including that fill. So they were looking at where they thought we should be, what is actually top of fill and not top of material. So that actually reduced the amount of capacity in the landfill, because they were looking at that area that would normally be fill cap material as being available space for garbage. So when that was discovered, that was corrected, which certainly lowered the amount of years remaining, or lowered the capacity, available capacity in the landfill. And the second part to that is small landfills like ours historically we don't have access to hydro. We don't have scales for measuring weights. So what they did was back in 2007, they did a waste audit there when Blue Metric, it was WISA at the time, got involved. They looked at the type of material, what was coming in generally, and they translated those car counts or those vehicle counts into an average weight. That has been what has been used by them over the years to calculate how much is going in on an annual basis to the landfill. Weight and volume can be two different things. You can have something that takes a lot of space that doesn't weigh hardly anything, like a mattress or a box spring, but you can have something that takes very little space that weighs a lot. So we feel that the type of material that's coming to the landfill now, because it's not that just that typical residential with the curbside program, most of your household waste, people put their bag garbage out at the curb. That's your, typical waste. So what's remaining, what's still coming into the landfill is a lot of these large bulky items that people can't put curbside. So those two things kind of put together have reduced the capacity in the landfill. The Ministry of the Environment last year had approached the municipality and asked for an updated design and operations report. It was from 2006, so that was not an unusual request. The thing is, when you get within 5 years of closure, you're looking at a closure plan. The ministry wants the municipality to create a closure plan, and so we felt that. And before we spent the money on doing an updated design and operations report, we would try and nail down and figure out exactly what's left. Because if we're in that 5-year range, then it makes more sense to spend the money on a closure report than to update a design and operations report for something that's not going to be, relevant in 3 to 5 years. So based on that, a couple things, what we're looking for right now. So the landfill's not full. It's just getting to that point. With the type of material that's being accepted, it will fill up faster if we continue to accept all of the material that we've been accepting. So the first recommendation here is that we eliminate commercial waste. So that would be your building materials, shingles, that type of thing. A lot of small municipalities don't accept that at their landfills. That goes to, contractors, people doing that type of work would take that material to a place such as Green Lane or Ridge Landfill and pay the disposal fee and dump that. So that type of material, we've had a couple of demolitions over the last year. So when you start receiving, when you're a small landfill and your capacity is not great to begin with, and then all of a sudden you start receiving a whole house, right, as a demolition project where that's coming in, that can really affect that annual number. So that's the first recommendation, is to reduce the commercial waste being taken in, that people would have to take that to one of the larger landfills. The second one is, this isn't going to affect the transfer site at the landfill. So the transfer site now takes recycling, it takes tires, it takes scrap steel, it takes appliances, and we do have the bins there for the waste. So staff would expect that transfer site would continue on even post-closure for the landfill. So many small municipalities or many small transfer sites have large bins. People can still put their garbage in those large bins. It's just that instead of that waste being landfilled right at our site, right on site, that waste has to be transported from there to someplace like Green Lane Landfill, where our curbside collection goes. So, we're asking council to give some direction to go ahead and look at those options for diverting. The more we can divert from our landfill, the longer we can make it available for those items that not necessarily can be easily transported off-site. And then finally, we've started looking at, there are options. There small landfills, we could apply for an expansion under 40,000 cubic meters, which don't trigger some of the same requirements as far as the application goes. But at the same time, that application, there's no guarantees we could spend the money on that application for an expansion. We don't have the space to expand the footprint of the landfill, so we can't go out. The only thing that we would be available, or we would possibly be allowed to do, is go up. So make it higher than what the typical, or than what our design standard is now, or what our, so the other, there's that option. But then there's also the option of doing that closure report, submitting that once if we do these other things where we're diverting what we can now, we could get, I don't even want to say, because it's a snapshot in time. It depends on how much we're putting in. So if we can lower that number and we're only landfilling a very small amount at our own landfill, we could make that last for many, many more years. So, but once a landfill, always a landfill. So even post-closure, once we put the final cap on and close it and continue to operate the transfer site, as the environmental requirements around our sampling and our reporting that's done every year, that continues on for at least another 25 years post-closure. So, we could look at the expansion, but it's going to be considerably more money, and there's no guarantees to that. And then we would still have, even with an expansion down the road, we would still have that closure cost that we would have to, and the environmental. And once we do that expansion, like in Blue Metric's report, they did state that with that expansion could come additional requirements around groundwater containment systems. Like currently we don't have those types of things because of the size of the landfill. But if we do expand, that could generate additional needs as far as like operational requirements for the landfill. So there would be definitely a cost associated with that. So if anybody has any questions, I think right now with this report, we just wanted to provide it as information to council so that everybody's aware, and certainly get the process started as far as elimination of the commercial waste and exploring options for diversion.
Okay, thank you. I must just say that I'm pretty disappointed that it filled up as quick as I really thought it was going to last a little longer than that. But anyway, that's what happens. Council, any questions, please?
Okay. Probably the same question.
Yeah.
Lee, thank you.
Councillor Denning.
Thank you, through the chair, and Lee, thank you for the report. Would you be able to, at the very least, speculate what percentage of West Elgin landfill clients would be commercial dumping versus Bob and Joe, cleaning up their garage on Saturday morning? And the commercial clients, the ones that are dumping commercial waste, are they West Elgin residents?
Through the chair, I wouldn't want to speculate as far as a number, as far as a percentage of what would be considered commercial. We would consider commercial waste, like I said, construction materials, shingles, people that have bin services that are bringing in like a large quantity, house demos or demos of buildings, that type of thing. What I can tell you is that all the material that's taken at the West Elgin landfill is generated in West Elgin. So as a contractor bringing a trailer load of shingles in, they not only have to provide their information, but they have to provide the information for the address where that waste was generated. So we do keep track, we do log every vehicle that goes in to the landfill. And I would be fairly confident in saying that all the material that we're currently receiving at the landfill is generated in the municipality.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Tully.
Thank you for that. Yeah, just
a lot of what Councillor Dunning said is what I was going to ask, but I'm also wondering to add on that, when we do go through with this in the process for commercial, isn't accepted at West Elgin landfill, is there any way that we connect with the businesses in town that do, in our area, that do bring their waste there? You guys are laughing at me, I know what I said. Do bring their waste there. Connect with them and just let them know what's going on and a start date for that, just so that they're aware and they're not blindsided by what's going on.
Yeah, certainly, we'll make sure that that's well advertised. We have put a date, we've given, I think 6 weeks here as a period to inform this is a good time of the year because the amount of commercial waste this time of year is relatively low. We have already had a few discussions with some of the local contractors, so they are aware. It will get posted at the landfill so that people can see that, and it would be put on the website and whatnot, just so that everybody knows that that's coming. And we can certainly provide contact information for the landfills that can accept or their options for taking that commercial waste to one of the other sites.
Okay, any more comments? I think it's a stride forward if we do hold back the commercial, that's for sure. And then we can reassess maybe. So could I have the recommendation, please?
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Lee Gosnell, Manager of Operations and Community Services for information purposes, and that West Elgin Council hereby approves the elimination of commercial waste being received at the West Elgin landfill effective March 31st, 2025, and that West Elgin Council hereby directs staff to prepare options for additional waste diversion measures, which will extend the remaining life expectancy of the West Elgin landfill, and that West Elgin Council hereby directs staff to further explore landfill closure preparation, including but not limited to items listed under option A in the attached Blumetric report.
Thank you. Move, please. Oh. John?
Yeah.
It's very brief. It'll be very brief if you do.
Just in the event on the.
No?
John Johnson from the north end of the township. With this decision and the closing date of later in March, and I know from experience out our way, is there any bylaws or rules we can place, because some junk will not get to where it's supposed to go? And I can see a cost coming to the township for picking up garbage on the side of the road and down in the ditches and things like that. So consider that when you're making your decisions.
Okay, that's noted. A mover and a seconder, please.
Go ahead, I'll say something after.
I still want a mover and a second.
You still want to move for a second? Please.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Talley moved. Councillor Statham seconded. All in favour? Yeah, it's carried. Thank you.
Just for our attendees and for their awareness, thank you for the information that you provided. But for process of council, we generally don't take questions on time. But thank you. Maybe in the future, what I would ask is that connect with us and provide us with that information so as we take that in consideration.
Okay, we go to 8.3.3. The brine tender. Lee, is that you to speak on that? Or
Yeah, through the chair.
okay, if you will, please.
As you remember, we asked for council's consideration in putting out the brine tender pre-budget this year. And so we did receive 4 submissions for that tender. Upon review of those submissions, 3 of those were found to meet the criteria as outlined in the tender document. And so based on that, staff is recommending we go with the lowest price of the 3 that met the criteria, which would be from 552976 Ontario Limited from Stony Point, Ontario, at a cost of $245,000 for the 2025 brine tender.
Okay. You satisfied with that one? Okay. Any questions from council? Yes.
Is
Councillor
this
Doherty.
the one that a neighboring municipality just stopped? They were like, we're not gonna do dust suppression this year, and we were contemplating whether that would bring our price down.
Yes, that is correct.
Did it? That's all I want to know.
Slightly. It did slightly. Yes.
Good news.
So we're paying approximately 3/4 cent per liter less than we paid in 2024. But when you're talking 2 million liters, it does make a difference. So
Else? Can I have the recommendation then, please?
That West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Lee Gosnell, Manager of Operations and Community Services, and that West Elgin Council hereby grants pre-budget approval in the amount of $245,000 plus applicable taxes as submitted by 552976 Ontario Limited of Stony Point, Ontario, for supply and application of dust suppressant during the 2025 season.
Okay, move it, please. Councillor Denning, seconded. Deputy Mayor Tellier, all in favour? It's carried, thank you. 8.4.1. Electoral ward system.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That would be me. So you can see the report that was submitted to council. It is quite a lengthy report. So I won't go over everything in it in great detail, but what I will just kind of highlight the notes of it. Of course, at the last meeting, we had a petition received to dissolve the 3-ward system and go into a system which would include a mayor, 4 councillors, and the councillor receiving the highest number of votes to be hold the seat of deputy mayor. So during the research, I did come up with. I found that this has been discussed before numerous times. There was an open house that was held, and at that time, the council at the time decided to stay status quo. I'm not entirely sure what the decision was, possibly due to the timing of when it happened and the timing of having to have everything in place. So under the act, there's really no specific direction on how council would move forward, other than council's authority is to establish the bylaw, either dividing, redividing, or abolishing the wards within the municipality. So when this was initially, we moved forward with a ward system, the bylaw would have been in place. So just some other things to mention. If no bylaw is passed within 90 days, any elector that signed that petition can appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal. So that date is April 23rd. As you can see, there's lots of pros and cons to both a ward system and an at-large system. Again, I won't go through each individual one. I'm sure council's has read through them, and it is available on our website for anybody to take a look at that report. Some other things to mention as well. So in the last election, the voter turnout, it indicated 10.84, which was taking into consideration the entire population. The actual voter turnout was 28.34 with just Ward 1. However, with acclamations, it certainly reduces the voting power. And as our delegate did mention, it certainly discourages people from voting in future elections if they don't get that opportunity to go to that ballot box. They may just kind of turn away from local government altogether. A couple other things to mention. Within Elgin County, all the municipalities, there are only 2 that run at large and 5 are all ward. However, 59% of Ontario municipalities do operate at large for their elections. So moving forward, If council chooses to go with option one, then a bylaw would be forthcoming at a subsequent council meeting. If council wants to look further into this to do a full review, there is companies, Watson Associates that does it, Strategy Corp, they all do it. But however, council is looking at a cost of probably $25,000 to $30,000. Most of those that I, in my research, those were to do a realignment or a redivision of wards, not for just abolishing wards. So I certainly wouldn't recommend with going for a full review of it. But does council, any members of council have any questions or concerns with the information that was put forward in this lengthy report?
I was just going to say, I had the pleasure of being elected on wards and off wards. So as far as I'm concerned, when I was a councillor on a ward, I didn't only look after that ward, I looked after the municipality as best I could. And the way, if the questions come to me, then I answered them or did the best I could. And I think that's really the way that people should be doing it. That's only my opinion, but I'd like to hear from council. Anybody's got anything? Deputy Mayor Tellier, please.
Thank you for that, and through the chair. So, having been a Ward 1 counselor, and now deputy mayor, yeah, I see the advantages and disadvantages. So as a ward counselor, you know the intricacies of the businesses in your town, the people in your ward, exactly what's going on a little more than, I can't tell you sometimes when I was a Ward 1 counselor, when I was brand new, what was going on in Ward 3. I could tell you what's going on in Ward 2, but not Ward 3, because that wasn't really what I was always dealing with, and those people were always going to that counselor at the time was Miss Rowe. So I really, really like this idea. I think it's great to have it at large. I do hope it would bring more people out to vote. But I'm just worried that you're not knowing things, especially as we're growing as a municipality. I'm just worried that you wouldn't know as many residents and businesses by name. But I do really support the idea of, with saying that, being at large. And thank you for the percentage of what it actually represented of people coming out, because our last election, because I felt the numbers were a little bit skewed, seeming as we had so many people that were appointed. So that's just my thoughts on how that would look.
Anyone else? Got an opinion? So what direction do we take now?
So from what I'm hearing, moving forward with option one to proceed with an at-large. I'll read that recommendation. That West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Terry Toshchuk clerk regarding electoral ward system, and that council approve the proposal to proceed with dissolving the electoral 3-ward system, directing staff to begin the necessary steps in accordance with legislation.
Hey, I'm looking round. I could do with a mover, please. Councillor Doherty. And the seconder? Councillor Denning. All in favour? That's carried. Thank you. Are you okay for a break? Have a break for 5 minutes. Start again, back into the meeting. And we'll go to 8.4.2. Monthly Community Services Update. We got anything on that?
Was there any questions or concerns from any members of council?
Everybody a chance to look?
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives a report from Terry Toshchuk clerk regarding monthly community services update, January 2025 for information purposes.
Mover, please. Councillor Statham, seconded. Councillor Denny, all in favour? It's carried, thank you. Committee and board reports or updates. So we go to 10, which is...
Was there any updates from any members of council and on any committees or board meetings that have happened in the last couple weeks of the last month.
Seeing none.
Seeing none.
So we go to 10, notice of motion.
Thank
And
you,
I
Mr.
think-
Mayor. I'll speak to this one. So
Okay.
this is just a notice of motion and it was mentioned as an amendment at the beginning of the agenda. So this is just providing that Councillor Denning will be bringing forward a notice of motion to amend something previously adopted, which is motion 2024-321, parking on Monroe Street, West Lorne, which will be brought forward at the next regular meeting of council. There's no mover and seconder
No.
required for this.
Okay, that'll come back. Okay. Thank you. Council inquiries and announcements. Correspondence.
Was there any further council announcements to record for this meeting? Okay, seeing none.
No, seeing none. You going to receive and file it? Do we? Oh,
Item 12 is correspondence. So there was 2 items there from the council chambers from the county of Elgin. And the recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receive and file all correspondence not otherwise dealt with.
okay. Move it, please. Councillor Denning, seconded. Councillor Statham. All in favour? It's carried. Thank you.
Very excited for that one.
Jumped on, I was like,
Okay, so we move on to 13, items requiring council consideration.
Nothing to be considered at this time.
14, bylaws. 14.1, 2025-08, borrowing bylaw.
Yep, before the motion is read to pass the bylaw, we'll open the floor to Ms. Badura, the treasurer, to review.
If you would, please, Magna. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. So this bylaw, as you recall, is being passed every year at the beginning of the year. It's basically providing us ability to borrow funds. That bylaw is in accordance with Section 407 of the Municipal Act, and it is providing us an option to borrow money temporarily to meet operational expenses before revenue is received. So there are limitations when it comes to borrowing, and the amount borrowed cannot exceed 50% of estimated revenue for the first half of the year and 25% for the second half. Based on our cash flow projection, short-term borrowing is not anticipated to be necessary to fund current operations. So does anybody have any
No,
questions?
any questions from council? Yes, Councillor Denning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through the chair. Magda, thank you. So basically, this is just us creating the lever that we may or may not need, so that if we do have to have a critical decision about this, then we have the space to make that decision.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Any other questions? No, please.
The recommendation is that bylaw 2025-08, being a bylaw for municipal borrowing of current expenditures, and repeal bylaw 2024-13, be read a first, second, third, and final time.
Move it, please. Councillor Doherty. Seconded. Councillor Statham. All in favour? It's carried. Thank you. 14.2, 2024-09, interim tax rates. Over to you again, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Another bylaw that is being passed every year at the beginning of the year. This one is for interim tax bylaw. So this bylaw gives us legal authority to levy and collect taxes before the final budget and taxes are approved. Under Section 317 of the Municipal Act, municipalities may pass an interim tax levy bylaw prior to setting the final tax rates. Subject to the following conditions, the interim levy cannot exceed 50%, and the bylaw applies to all property classes, and the municipality has the authority to establish due date and installment schedules for their interim tax rates, tax payments. So this bylaw enables the municipality to impose interim taxes and generate revenue, ensuring a stable cash flow to fund essential services while awaiting the final tax rates. Anybody have any questions?
Seeing none.
The recommendation is that bylaw 2025-09, being a bylaw to provide for an interim tax levy for 2025, be read a first, second, third, and final time.
Move it, please. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Denning, all in favour? That's carried. So we go to 15. We go into closed session at 5:57.
The recommendation is that the Council of the Municipality of West Elgin hereby proceeds into closed session at 5:57 PM to discuss matters pursuant to the Municipal Act, Section 239(2)D, labor relations or employee negotiations, contract extension, planning services. F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, Port Glasgow Trailer Park 2025 lease agreement. C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, Port Glasgow Trailer Park. E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, Port Glasgow Trailer Park.
Okay, move it, please. Councillor Denning, seconded. Deputy Mayor Tellier, all in favour? It's carried. Thank you. We're reporting from close.
Reporting from closed session at 6:47 PM. Council received 4 items pursuant to Section 239(2) of the Municipal Act. Council provided administrative direction to staff, including the following recommendations to be read in open session. Recommendation 1 is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Robin Greenall, CAO, regarding the annual planning services agreement, and that Council directs the mayor and staff to execute the agreement with Robert Brown of Oakview Land Use and Planning Services.
Move it. Councillor Doherty, seconded. Councillor Statham, all in favour? It's carried. Thank you.
Recommendation 2 is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Robin Greenall, CAO, regarding the Port Glasgow Trailer Park lease agreement and the attached lease agreement, and directs staff to proceed to distribute the agreement to seasonal park renters.
Move it, please. Councillor Statham, seconded. Councillor Denning, all in favour? It's carried. Thank you.
And the third recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Robin Greenall, CAO, regarding the sale and disposition of land, Port Glasgow Trailer Park, for information, and provides directions to on the process to staff to proceed as directed.
Move it, please. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Doherty, all in favour? That's carried. Thank you. And we go to 17. Confirming bylaw.
The recommendation is that bylaw 2025-10, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular meeting of council held on February 13th, 2025, be read a first, second, third, and final time.
Move it, please. Councillor Statham, seconded. Deputy Mayor Tellier, all in favour? It's carried. Thank you. And finally, that'll bring us to adjournment.
That the Council of the Municipality of West Elgin hereby adjourn at 6:49 PM to meet again at 4:00 PM on Thursday, February 27th, 2025, or at the call of the chair.
Move it, please. Councillor Doherty, seconded. Councillor Denning, all in favour? It's carried. Thank you.